Today I want to show you how to make what I've been making for quite some time. I really enjoyed the Black Rock Caramel Blonde Chiller, which is a blended caramel white chocolate chiller. My wife introduced that to me a couple of years ago. That was her first mistake. But I really liked it, and I've tried the ones from Starbucks and also from Dutch Brothers and many other places. And after spending like $8-9 every time, I thought, well, maybe there's a way that I can do it myself. And so I tried and experimented and found what really worked. I think it's a much better drink than what they make for a couple of reasons. One of them is that I can get better ingredients. I get better ingredients than they do. I don't use the fake whipped cream and that sort of thing. So I choose what I liked, and then I just use that. I started with this coffee, this Cafe Bustelo. I was using Folgers, and it's all right. But this is the express ground coffee because I use an espresso machine. But I'm also going to show you how to use it on my regular Frappuccino Mr. Coffee machine. Now this is a cheap Mr. Coffee espresso machine. This was $20 I got new at one of the Fry's grocery stores as clearance. And then this one was also a clearance item. So I bought it relatively cheaply. Bought this first and then I bought this next. They'll both give you pretty much the same overall content, but I just tend to like the espresso a little bit better. But I'll show you how to make them both ways, and you'll be happy both ways. So first I start off with, if you got your own espresso machine, then you're going to have your own idea on how much you want to use. But what I do is, whether it's using an espresso machine or this Frappuccino machine, I use the same amount of water. So it's just a little bit under a half a cup of, I just use RO water. Water, better coffee. That's just the way that I look at it. So I'll put this less than a half cup in there. And then for the espresso, I'm going to use just a heaping tablespoon is what I use. And then if I'm going to use the regular coffee, like the Folgers coffee in this one right here, then I'm going to use basically a quarter cup of coffee. It seems like a lot, but that's what it takes in order to do it. I've measured everything out, so it gives you a better indication. So if it was this one, I'd be using a quarter cup of whatever coffee. You can even use the espresso coffee in here, works just fine. So use a quarter cup of coffee in here, and then just a little bit less than half cup of water. And then in here, heaping tablespoon of espresso ground coffee, and then just a little bit less than a half a cup of water in there. So I'm going to make it on the espresso machine, and then I'm going to blend it on the blender in the Mr. Coffee Frappuccino machine. So I'll start off with getting this working here. So it's on and making coffee. And then we're going to get on to preparing what we need to have inside of here. Now, what I normally start with inside of here is I'm using half and half. For half and half, use real half and half, not the fake ice cream stuff or whatever they use. I run about, I just fill the bottom. There's just a little line right here. I don't put too much in it, so I'm thinking maybe it's quarter cup, maybe a little bit more, not much, because what happens is if you put too much half and half or milk in here, it's going to foam up, and when you foam up, then it just becomes just a real foamy top, and it's not that great. It just kind of mixes everything up, and so you don't want to put too much and you don't want to put too little. So I put about that. I just cover the bottom with maybe just about that much on the bottom. Not very much at all, because like I said, if you overwhelm it with the milk, it's not good. Okay, what I've done is I've filled about halfway full of ice, the container, about halfway full of ice doesn't go all the way down all the time. You don't want to fill it up too much because then it'll dilute the flavor of your coffee. But if you don't put enough in there, then it's going to not be really blended. I like it in between blended and just really cold. So it doesn't really have to be like a shake to me. Okay, so now I've got that in there. My espresso is finished. So I can go ahead and pour the espresso, the hot espresso, into this. Okay. Now, I've got my half and half, my ice, and my espresso. So I'm going to add my flavorings. So this is my flavoring. I use the white chocolate Torani. Okay. A couple squirts in there. All right. I like it a little sweet. Then I have the Ghirardelli caramel. I don't like the Torani caramel as much, so I use the Ghirardelli. Okay. So once I've got it in there, I'll put the lid on. Lock it in. And then we're going to do some blending. Break that ice up in little pieces. Okay, what I'll do is take the caramel, just run it on the inside of the glass like this. Okay, then I take my real whipped cream, not the fake stuff, put it at the bottom a little bit. I like it in the bottom because it mixes in with the actual coffee. So take that. Okay, got that. Okay, put your straw in there. Tastes great. Now I know most people want to put the drinks in something like this or a Starbucks cup, you know, like this, insulated, but you can see you got plenty. This is a pretty large cup right here, and then you've got quite a bit left. So it'll fill one of these Starbucks cups when you're done. So this will give you enough for a good sized coffee. But I can guarantee you that you're gonna like this. Like I said, you're in control of your flavoring if you want to add some chocolate or whatever else. But I pick these things because they taste better. Like I said, Torani makes a caramel, but I like the Ghirardelli caramel much better. It's my personal choice. And I started using half and half because I use milk and I use cream and I use a bunch of other different added, instead of milk. Instead of regular milk, and I tend to like the half and half much better. I just use the general half and half that you get at the store. So you can add more ice, take ice out, and if for some reason you put too much ice in and you dilute the flavor, you can always just add more flavoring. But I've been doing this so long that I just kind of, that's how I work. So when I'm making it from this Frappuccino machine, then basically I'm just putting in the brewed coffee, I'm putting in about just a quarter cup of my regular coffee, and then a little bit less than half cup of water, and then I'm brewing that on top of the ice and on top of the half and half, and then I mix in my flavorings, and then I use this. You can use any blender you want. It doesn't have to be on a coffee machine, but I just happen to have one, so it just makes it easier. I figure it's affordable and it's actually better than what you buy at those stores, because I've tried them all And if there's something that you really like that you don't have, then figure out how to make it. I'm going to work on some other coffee recipes, so I'll keep going on it.